Hello, everyone, and welcome to the fourth episode of the R Words podcast, a podcast where we don't only try to speak intellectual, we also play this game where each one of us has to generate a random R word. During conversation, each one of us has to try and implement this word in conversation 3 times without the other person knowing. The first person to actually achieve this wins the episode and gets a point added to their tally. But there's a twist. Each one of us has a challenge flag, and during the conversation, if you feel like you know the other person's word, you can use this challenge flag to check if you know their word. If you're correct, they will lose the chance to win the episode. And if you're not correct, then the game just continues.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's basically it.
And that now all without a fucking teleprompter.
True. Yeah. First take as well.
First take as well.
I
didn't have to know. Okay.
And now it's 1-1, right?
Yeah, so spoiler alert. If you haven't watched the first 3 episodes, you still have 5 seconds to go away. Yeah, it's 1-1. Thank you, Marco.
Not bad.
If you guys saw the last episode, you saw that we had a fun little intro there. And just know that we are creators by heart, is what I would like to say about that, is that we don't only try to do like a podcast where we yap the whole time and play this game. We also like to keep it interesting by changing the intro, outro here and there, or do some fun stuff.
Yeah, we switch things up a bit.
Yeah.
We try some new things.
We try to improve here and there. We actually have a new improvement as well in upcoming episodes that we kind of forgot about for this one.
Yeah, we're still implementing it.
Yeah, we can do it in the next episode. It's gonna be fun. Last episode, I also reached out to one of our friends, family, colleagues for their take on internet browsers, and he did reach out to us, which we'd like to thank him for that. And we could. Do you want to pop up the comment here or something like that, or should we read it out? Or
we can pop it up.
We should actually have it prepared. Actually,
yeah, it's fine.
Well, he said something like he used. What was it again? He used some sort of... I have never heard of the browser before.
No, but he showed it to me. It actually looks pretty legit. I'm probably going to try it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And then he had a little take on other browsers, which I knew he would have like a very specific taste on their on browsers. So
yeah, but I think it at least went kind of along the lines of that. I was saying that I think Chrome is not great.
Yeah. So that's all settled. If you guys just know that if you guys leave a comment, we will look at it and we will maybe use it in future episodes.
Use it for sure. I'm committing to it.
Yeah.
Whatever you say in the comments, yes, we will say out loud on the podcast.
We will discuss it and we'll thank you for it and that kind of stuff. So leave comments everywhere. You can leave a comment on Spotify, on YouTube. You can rate the podcast on Spotify after listening a full episode. You can like this podcast on Spotify as well. Follow, leave a like on YouTube. Push notifications. No, it's ring the bell on YouTube so you get notified for every upload that we do. Go to our shorts channels on whatever, TikTok, Instagram, blah blah blah. No, that's done. Okay, go on.
Okay,
go do your subject, boy.
Generate the word.
Yeah, so Marco's going to start with generating his first word. Normally this is where I take the time to talk about our channels, but I just already did that. So we did. Oh, this is maybe interesting to say that we did add a little extra to the generation of the word, because in the last few words we were getting like crazy ass words, which is kind of the whole game anyways, but just like words that you rarely to nothing, like till never. Whoa, hold up. You rarely or never use in sentence anyways. So we kind of went for a different prompt.
I think we can work up to it, to be honest. I think as it goes on and we have used more words and we are starting to like throw out dummy words and our word vocabulary grows,
yeah.
We will be able to use words like recalcitrant and rendezvous and maybe get away with it. But for now, I added something to the prompt to keep it less than 10 characters or something and not too complex or something like this. and we'll see if it works and if it doesn't, I guess.
Yeah, I had a really hard time refreshing the page. Holy shit, that was god damn, bro. I went up to the search bar,
Mhm.
and then I didn't see the symbol for it anywhere. And then I was just typing like question mark stuff, and then press enter. And then when I went slid back, basically, it went back to the same page with my word. And then I actually found the refresh button. So it was horrible.
You have a phone?
I do have a phone. What can we say? Well, actually, today I had a fun shift at work, 12 to 6, and then we started tearing up the bar. Literally, we broke the bar at our restaurant, and we're gonna get a new bar. So that's it's gonna be interesting. Anything besides that? Exam weeks are coming up for you,
True.
and then after that, exam weeks are coming up for me. So it's gonna be a busy ass period.
But we're still putting out episodes.
Of course.
A symbol of our dedication to the cause.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with like starting something new. You just have to upload and just create and just keep on going, and don't shy away from the 10 views that we get on this last episode.
We'll see where it takes us.
Yeah.
But before we started recording, I was talking about cash money, right? So I guess we could talk about this a little bit, about whether you think cash is going to, well, in a lot of places it already seems to me that it's being phased out. The most obvious example to me of this would be like in the supermarket at the self-checkouts here, they don't accept cash. In Ireland, they actually accept cash.
Yeah, they're gonna implement that as well here. In some stores in the Netherlands, they already implemented it, which I love, because I hate going to the self-checkout and then not being able to pay with my tip money, which normally I want to pay with my tip money at the grocery store, and then I always have to go to like the actual registers.
The conveyor belt of death.
Yeah, exactly.
And all the old people are there with you.
Yeah. But to be fair, at my grocery store, I have the scanner, and then I just give the scanner to the people, and then I can still pay cash.
You have like beep, 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 beep.
I have beep, beep, beep.
Like the one that you go in with the like device and you scan them as you put them in the basket?
Yeah.
Damn, I've never understood how that works.
What do you mean? I've never understood how that works.
Like, I've never understood how to actually... I've never thought about getting it, basically.
It's so much more convenient, because you can see what you're going to spend as well. And then you just give it to the people at the register. They scan it with some sort of code, and then they see what the total is that you have. And then you can still pay with cash afterwards.
But so you go up to the conveyor belt with it?
No. They have like different kind of registers for it without a conveyor belt. You just
like
leave
the
your
desk?
machine. Yeah, like the desk basically. Yeah. But what I was talking about is that you have at some grocery stores here in the Netherlands, you have an actual self checkout where you have to scan every item, and then normally you would only be able to pay with card at those.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
But they're now implementing that you can also pay with cash at those registers.
I don't understand. Because, like, let's say you're buying a machine, okay? And you buy this self-checkout machine with only a card function without a cash box.
Yeah.
Now you're going to buy a new machine with a cash box?
I think it's just...
you're going to unlock the extension?
That's it. I think it's actually like an extension that they add
probably,
to it.
Yeah.
Because this is already in a lot of... places in America where I think at Walmart or Costco or stuff like that, you can actually pay with just like regular money.
Yeah, but this is the same in Ireland as well.
It's way more convenient.
Like in Lidl, mostly it's self-checkouts. They barely have conveyor belts anymore.
Yeah.
And you can pay with cash. So
it's which I always thought was possible, because when you go to the parking lot and you have to pay for your card, you also have to throw in coins or throw in paper money, basically. So then I was always like, why can we not do this at self-checkouts?
I don't know. Has it never been a thing here?
Now that I think of it, no, because I think they've implemented self-checkouts like for the past 10 years, I would like to say.
And they've always been card only?
Always been card only.
Damn.
But maybe that has to do with like our country, maybe. Maybe our country is just like against cash.
From what I know, the Netherlands is pretty
Card payment country, right?
card centered,
Yeah.
and I thought it was going in the direction of what I was saying, going away from cash. But now that you're telling me if they're implementing machines that have cash functions, this wouldn't be the case.
Yeah. No, that's interesting because they have taken away our rights to pay with 2 and 1 cent coins. And they also don't give it back. So now you can also, this is actually a really interesting one because in one of our high school math books, they were teaching about rounding up in your oh, what's it called? Fuck. To your that it would be convenient for you, or kind of
Rounding up in your favor.
Yeah, you could have helped me way earlier, bro.
I didn't know what you were gonna say.
Okay, yeah. So rounding up in your favor. So basically, let me think of a good. So basically, yeah, you go to the checkout. It's 1997.
Yeah, but then it should go to 95.
Yeah, because if you pay by card, you can easily pay 1997. But if you pay cash, they will actually count it as 1995, which then it saved you 2 cents.
Yeah, but the thing is, what stores do, if you've noticed,
they change the prices so it doesn't get 1997.
I was about to say that.
No,
then that's not true at all.
No, it's not true.
Because let's say you buy 3 things that end in 99.
Yeah, because when I see that my total is 15.98, I go buy some more. Just kidding. I go buy some more. I buy a new Nutella pot.
I buy a 99-cent item.
Yeah. No. So yeah, that's rounding up in your favor. It's what they teach the kids at high school nowadays. It's quite sad.
But in terms of coins, like
yeah, that's only in terms of coins.
But then do you think, okay, well then we can segue into the topic of, are they going to change math books in the future?
100% they're going to change.
And there won't be 97s. And there won't be 98s. Because think about it, right? Normally in maths books, at least from my textbooks, it feels like, obviously they're normally a few years back, but it feels like they normally try to give you relatable examples in order to understand the concept.
Yeah, no, they just
so in 20 years, if they're like, oh, you know when you have 97 cents and someone's like,
yeah. No, they're definitely doing it. They're already doing relatable stuff and relevant stuff, basically. And because it has to be relevant for their world to... Don't give me that look, brother. That's not in the rules. Not in the rules of the game. If you want to challenge, you challenge.
Okay.
It has to be this is what they teach us from year one. It has to be in their imaginary world, so then they can understand the math, basically. So if I start teaching a kid of 12 years old math with all these like hydraulics and machines, they have no fucking clue what we're talking about, basically. So it has to stay relevant.
But then what would be the new example for rounding? Because let's assume that they still teach rounding, right? Because I think, I mean, there's rounding and other stuff, right?
Yeah. No, the one topic that I like to teach is practical rounding up or rounding down, I guess. Rounding up. Is there a rounding down?
Yeah.
Okay. Practical rounding up, which is a class of 23 kids go to a kayaking trip. In every boat, you can fit 4 people. How many kayaks do we need? I fucking love this subject because it's so...
You put 3.5 people.
Exactly. I always say, like, so who are we going to cut?
Little Jimmy's getting cut in half. No
other option. No, that's like, for me, that's so like realistic to tell the kids, like...
It's kayaking now.
Exactly, yeah. We're playing this game where everyone... Yeah, so that's... so that's what the rounding up and rounding down is gonna lead into, more realistical problems where
But then that's like a hypothetical.
Yeah, but I don't think they're gonna...
I guess they could be like in like PE class if you have 23 kids and you need 2 teams.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
But then, well,
some people can be half people. depending on the sport.
Some people can be reptilian.
Let's say ants later.
Ants later.
Let's say you have Project Mbappe in the class, and then you have, I don't know, 2 Project Arnolds who aren't so good at football. But if it was weightlifting team sports,
we can go back to the German PE school teaching, which is where they only do gymnastics through the entire PE class.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They don't do any sports?
That was like the old school PE in...
How old school?
1940. Well, something like 1960, 70. They only did like all the gymnastic stuff. And then the guys would do like all the... Like the pommel horse, I think.
The what?
Rings. Pommel horse. It's the... It's like the thing where they do all the... Do you know what a flare is? It's like where they throw their legs up in the air and then go back, but then they.
You mean like the hydraulic bowl that's in like a club and you have to try and stay on?
No. So the bull stays. It's like staying there, but the guy on top is like, it's like he's. If I can use my hands for this, he's like doing this with his hands, and his legs are going like.
But this is just gymnastics, right?
Yeah, vault.
Okay. Vault? Vault is normally like a pole vault where you push yourself over the bar.
Yeah.
Right.
I think there's also a vault in gymnastics somewhere. But basically the guys would do all the strength stuff from gymnastics and the girls would do all the flexibility stuff. That's like the old version of...
and that was all their PE, was gymnastics.
Basically, yeah.
I don't think we ever did gymnastics in PE.
Really?
No. It was all... The classic would be like, I don't know, the teacher's like, today we're going to play backwards Albanian touch football tag.
Exactly. We're gonna play Polish home renovating dodgeball, where you could use all the material in the entire fucking gym.
But there'd be a rule that like only you can't like you have to pass the ball at least once to every person or something. You know what I mean?
I fucking hated that. And when I was so what some people may not know is that before I was studying math and education, I actually right out of high school I went to PE teaching.
He had a passion for Albanian backwards football.
Exactly.
Loop-de-loop tag.
I had a passion for teaching dodgeball every other class, and so I was actually studying to become a PE teacher. And where was I going with this? Yeah, every class that we had to teach or every game that we played at our college, basically, it even if we were just playing a fun game of basketball, a fun game of hockey, field hockey, we always had this rule of like you have to pass to everyone first before you're allowed to score a goal, and that was so
this is because there'd be some guys or some girls who would just carry, right?
Yeah, it was all about inclusivity. Bro, that's such a annoying word. Inclusivity. Yeah, it was all about that. Which is
I mean, but this is why I was surprised when you said that in Germany they only did athletics, because normally they do team-based sports as a means of teaching people how to work together.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure back in the day it was only about strength and that kind of stuff. I mean, I was taught this at my PE teaching school that was the old classical way of their PE teaching, and then the way they did it in America was all like focused on sports, and then if you were good at it, you were actually put in a team, and then if you were not good at PE, you were just sent into like sort of like track where everyone just walks in like circles, and that's their PE teaching. I'm pretty sure that they are very focused on actual teams there.
Our PE had nothing to do with the sports teams. Yeah. Like sports was extracurricular, right? Really? It wasn't mandatory. In some schools in Ireland, which are I think I told you this before, is part of like a Catholic group of schools who are all religious. They all play rugby, and it might be compulsory. Yeah, I think it is compulsory. So yeah, this is different. But
do the kids that are actually in a school team, do they are they kind of free for PE, or do they still have to go to PE?
PE is separate.
Okay, so
right? The rugby would be after school, extracurricular, or
because
whatever sport it is.
because
PE
when
for us would be completely separate.
because when I was in high school, the first 2 years, I went to a high school actually in Maastricht for they had like a section of like dancing basically. Like they had like a pre-education for all the dance colleges, and I was doing that basically. I would say 14 hours. 14 hours. I had like a beep in my ear for some reason. It came from that side. Ghosts.
It's the sleeper agent activation.
Yeah.
Your Huawei implant is now
Huawei. Huawei.
Huawei.
Yeah.
Is it Huawei?
The brand?
Yeah.
I call it Huawei all the time. But I'm not Chinese.
Hawaii, I don't know.
Yeah, fuck it. But basically, I had 14 hours of dancing throughout the week. But then because we had those 14 hours, we got off from some sort of subjects like PE. We didn't have to do like technique stuff. We didn't have to do like cultural stuff.
So you kind of compensated for other classes by doing this dance training?
Kind of, yeah.
Interesting. For us, any sports was extracurricular, and it was on top of school. You had base school, and you had to do base school.
Yeah.
And then anything sports, music, I guess drama, whatever, was extracurricular in your, I guess, in your own time outside of the school hours.
Yeah, but for us, I think high school here in the Netherlands, you have like some base or like core classes, and then every school can pick some classes that are not mandatory for like passing to next level or eventually exams.
Like you can drop subjects.
Basically.
But like at what year? Because we could choose subjects starting from second year, but this would be like art or Spanish. English or Spanish.
The thing is, I don't think we as kids are able to drop those classes, but the school is able to change that curriculum throughout the years if they wanted to. Because I'm pretty sure we had like this let me think real quick. This subject in our school about cultural activities, basically, and we all had to do like presentations on different kind of cultural activities. And then, for instance, a school that is like a little bit more up in the province, they will have like some sort of different kind of subject that will also include those kind of things, but they're not exactly the same. Like math, English, Dutch, those kind of things are just the same like for everything. But I think those other and sometimes you don't even get an actual grade for those classes. You just get like a pass or no pass. So then it was easy for us to substitute those for the dancing classes. That's I think
the core subjects. The Dutch.
No. The core subjects we had to do. Okay. But then all those like extra stuff that like drawing, winning. Just kidding. No, drawing and the cultural stuff, the PE, the technique. We also had music, but we didn't have to do it because we were doing dance.
Interesting.
Yeah. They claim that we have enough music knowledge from doing the dance classes, but then actually I had to do a music test, like a theory test in the beginning, because they were not sure if we actually had to do it or not. So we were just doing the test just to be sure, and I got a 1.9 out of 10.
Actually?
Yeah. Bro, I didn't have time to learn afterwards, because basically how my days used to look like, it was school started around 8:30, but I had to be there around like 8:15, so I had to take the train at like 6 a.m. because I lived like...
You were one of the early boys?
I lived all the way on the other side of the province, so I had to travel like 30 minutes by train. And then I woke up at 6 a.m. in the morning. So that was 8:15. I had like 6 classes, so that lasted until like 3 p.m. Then I had 2 times 2 hour dance classes, like ballet and modern, for instance. So then it would be roughly around 6 p.m. where I'm done with school. Then I had to go back to my hometown, and I would be home around like 7:30, almost 8. Then I had to try to fit in my school assignments here and there. And then I had to go back again to sleep at like 10 p.m. to do it all over again. And sometimes I even had to start the day with ballet. So then normally the kids from my actual class, they were doing PE. The first 2 hours I was doing ballet from 8:30 till 10, and then I had 6 or 5 actual classes, and then I could go home, which was a really interesting period of my life. Like I did that for 2 years.
But this was the 2 last years of high school?
No, the first 2 years.
Damn.
Because I got out of elementary school and I basically went to that high school the first 2 years, and then I had doubts of actually continuing dance because I was doing it already for like 7+ years. And basically, if you kind of invest in that kind of high school, it kind of tells you like, this is what I want to do with my life professionally, also because you're investing a lot of time in it and also a lot of money. Well, my mom was doing that. And then because I didn't have that much spare time, also in vacations I had to go back to school just for the dance classes a lot of times, for shows and stuff. And so I was like, I would love to have spare time, so I kind of dropped out of that. And then because I wasn't doing the dance stuff at that high school, at that high school. Whoa, at that high school anymore. So I went to a more close by high school. So I changed schools from my second to third. And
So first year high school, you were in one school, then you switched.
for the first 2 years, I was in one school.
Then your third and fourth, you moved to another.
Third, fourth, and fifth, I went to a different school close by, which I could bike to within 20 minutes, which was
Nice.
a whole lot of story. And then
Game changer.
yeah, exactly. I came home and it was like 4 or 3 p.m. sometimes. I was like, what the fuck am I doing with my time? Because I'm not studying.
But then in the last year of high school? Or do you only have 5 years?
I have 5 years in total, yeah.
No, we have 6.
So yeah, for some levels here in the Netherlands, you also have 6, but I didn't do the highest level. I did the average level.
Damn.
So yeah, and then I had a lot of time, so I started gaming.
Respect.
Well, and also playing volleyball.
Yeah.
So.
But then this is interesting because it feels like you guys have a lot more. Feels like at a younger age they streamline you more into what you think you want to do.
Yeah, this is something that I'm very against, but then also it's like we talked about this the other day at school as well. Basically, at the age of 11/12, they do this kind of test at elementary school to test your level of IQ, kind of ish.
Oh, it's not like a what you would be well suited to do test. It's an IQ test.
It's more based on like intelligence level, yeah.
We had these tests every now and then. I can't remember what specific points, but
yeah. And then basically that tells you and your parents and whatever everyone else, God, I guess, what kind of level you'll be doing on high school. And then you go to high school, and then after 3 years roughly of high school, you have to choose some sort of profile, which includes like certain types of subjects,
like sciencey,
yeah, exactly,
artsy,
yeah, culture, economics, that kind of stuff. So then you're at the age of 15, which is kind of where you decide what kind of subjects you want to be rolling with for the the end of your that you want to graduate with, basically. And then if you think further, because for instance you want to be a doctor, then you need certain subjects in your graduation year, or you need to pass in certain subjects to actually be able to go to the uni to become a doctor. So at a really young age you're making this decision already. And
this is the thing as well for us, but then I ended up doing psychology and I did 0 sciences.
Yeah.
And that's because I did it here instead of in Ireland. But I don't think in Ireland you needed a science because I applied for it. But anyway, maybe for medicine you probably did.
I think, well, nowadays I think they changed the kind of subjects you need for certain types of colleges and unis. I think they're more flexible nowadays. Of course, you have the like the very precise stuff. Like if you want to be an engineer, you have to at least had some sort of physics. Exactly. If you want to become a doctor, you at least need biology or something like that. So, but I think for most of this stuff, you can learn at the college or uni anyways, because I mean, let's be honest. What did we learn in high school?
I mean, half the time, it's like the classic line when you get into uni. They're like, forget everything you learned in high school.
Yes,
right?
exactly. We're gonna do it way different here. And also, then, what really do you learn in high school that stuck with you long enough to help you in your uni career or college career? For me, it's the math stuff now, obviously.
Yeah.
But to be fair, in my first year of the college, they went over the entire last 3 years of math in high school. So, yeah.
For me, I guess, I don't know, because a lot of the stuff that stuck with me would be like a lot of the history stuff, a lot of the classic stuff, because I just enjoyed
But yeah,
the
you're
class.
just interested in it.
And this would have been no, actually, one skill that was helpful in my last degree, the like history, classics, English degree, would have been writing essays, basically.
Yeah.
In a short period of time as well. We had to go fucking nuts. I remember we had to write like something like 20 something pages A4 in like 2 hours or something like this.
For me, that's just a calculus test.
Yeah, but you're writing little numbers in long division.
Yeah.
Right. But we had to write a lot, and I can't remember. 20 pages is a complete random number, but I can't remember the exact amount. But I remember you had to write fast because you would get different essays you had to write, and you had to pick one from each one and write them in the 2-hour exam time slot. And people would get fucking stressed as shit about it. But this is half the reason that people didn't choose history or classics, because they're both essays.
Yeah.
In the exams.
I don't know if I've ever asked you this before, but have you ever tried writing your own book?
No. A couple of people have said to me that I should at some point, or that they like. In Ireland we have an expression, at least, that someone has a book in them. Do you know what I mean? Like,
as in, like, everyone has a story that they can tell, or
no, like if someone has a book in them, it means that you think they could write a book, basically.
There's different ways of saying that. No? That's like a weird way of saying that.
I mean, in Ireland we have an expression for like everything, and they're all make no sense.
This guy has a movie in him.
Yeah, right.
Could be an actor.
But I guess, I don't know. But I guess this is an Irish thing, because there's a lot of Irish writers out there, and poets, I guess. But yeah, I thought about it. Maybe in the future. I said in English, I always used to choose the writing story option, mostly because I didn't have to prepare, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have to learn some fucking book or some poem and all this bullshit symbolism or whatever that was hidden in between the lines. I just had to go in and write a story.
But you said you were writing the crazy stories, right? Like
I used to recycle stories. I had a story that I came up with in like either the end of primary school or at the beginning of high school, which I would just adapt to the prompt that I got in each exam.
Yeah.
Because it would be like, write a story with this quote in it at some point, or write a story with this as a main theme.
Uh-huh.
And this was my running thing. I would just write my usual story, or I would write a new story, depending on what it was, tailored to the specific prompt, instead of having to learn something. And this was my literal strategy going into the final exam of high school. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna write my story. I get in, and then they're like, write a story that's based in the train station.
No.
It's just like super duper specific, and did not fit my story at all. So I had to come up with another one. But it went well in the end. I got a H2, which is like in between 80 and 90, and H is higher. So this is another thing. In Ireland, we have higher level and ordinary level for each subject. And it's a little bit strategic. The Irish system is, to be honest, shit. Like, basically how the end of high school systems work, it's called the Leaving Certificate. And how this works is you have to do 6 subjects minimum. At least I think you need to do maybe you need to do 8 minimum, but you need to count 6 subjects.
If there's any Irish high schooler listening right now, please tell us what's it exactly about.
6 subjects count towards your final amount of points, and this amount of points determines which subjects you can do in college. Okay, and the points is a maximum of 600. Let's say 600 at the moment. Okay, and the 6 subjects. So on each subject, you can get a maximum of 100 points.
Yeah.
Right. And the 100 points would be if you get a H1. So between 90 and 100, they would just give you 100 points. Nice. If you get in between 80 and 90, they would give you a H2 and you get 88 points. 77.66.
Efficient way of rounding up, I would say.
Maybe.
In your favor.
But the issue is, well, one of the issues is, well, first of all, if you count maths as one of your 6 subjects, they give you a bonus 25 points.
They give you the multiplier.
They give you bonus 25 points. So if you count maths in your 6 subjects, your maximum is 625.
The fuck?
I didn't count maths. Mostly because I didn't do well in it, right? I mean, I can blame my teacher. I just didn't study it or try it, right? But yeah, I didn't count maths. So my cap was 600. Which I a little bit resent because I don't know, like, I can't even remember, but they had some justification. They were like, yeah, if you count maths as one of your subjects, you get an extra bonus 25 points. Anyway, I ended up doing fine, so I didn't have to count it. But basically, so let's say you get 600 points, then you would be able to get into college courses which have a minimum point thing of 590. And this would be from last year's. Or it would be from, so basically before you get your results, you have to write a list of preferences. Okay. So let's say your first preference is to do psychology in Trinity College in Dublin. Your second preference is to do whatever in whatever college in whatever. Right?
Mm.
And you write your preferences before you even do the exams, right?
Yeah.
And when you're doing this, you will see the minimum cutoff point for last year, basically the lowest student who got in from last year.
Okay.
This could be 580, 578, less for other courses, right?
Yeah.
And then you do it based on how well you think you're going to do, and there's a bit of strategy, right? But then what happens is, let's say, what happened the year I did it, because it was after Corona, there was a lot of grade inflation. So what happened is that a lot of people got higher grades because not only in the exams, they had this opportunity where you could either do the exam, or you could not do the exam and the teacher would give you a grade that they think you would get.
Bro.
And not only this, this would be based on like your previous results, but also basically a lot of schools did this based on their previous year's results. Do you know what I mean? Let's say if you have a school and students normally do pretty well, they would keep this in line with this pattern.
Yeah.
Even though they could have obviously had a really dumb year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But also then, would you be able to ask your teacher, what would you grade me? And then say like, am I going to score? No?
No, I don't.
That would be like gambling, basically.
Yeah. But anyway, I did the exams. But there was a lot of things that like, some schools gave their people good grades or whatever. So there's a lot of shit. And basically what ended up happening is the grades got inflated. So all the minimum course requirements for all the courses went up.
Yeah.
I said that the maximum was 625 if you included maths, right? Some people got 625 points, maximum points, and they didn't get into a course.
Damn.
Like medicine is a classic example.
Yeah.
Right? Because there wasn't enough places.
Damn.
Right? And then it goes to their second choice. So let's say their second choice is psychology. They get into psychology and they got 625 points. So this bumps it up. So now you've loads of people who are in psychology who
that should actually have been
who wanted to get into medicine, get into
crazy.
psychology course, take up a place, I ended up missing out on the thing because it went up to
Because of
it was
those
at five.
damn
It was
medicine.
580 and I got 560 or something like this, right? I ended up missing out on a place, and I went into another course. But these people would go into psychology, and then in a
Drop out
in
after
a
1
couple of
year?
weeks they would drop out.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, I know. But I ended up doing history, classics, and English, and I really enjoyed it. I always liked history as a topic. I found it really interesting. But I couldn't see myself being a history teacher
But
or
then-
writing papers for the rest of my life. So
Did you finish that one?
no, I did 2 years of it.
Oh, okay.
And midway through the second year, I was already,
Doubting it.
yeah, and looking for other opportunities. And I think I could have, it's like I could have applied earlier, but I decided not to because the cutoff point was like immediately after I thought about it. So I was like, oh, wait, I'll give it some more thought. And then I was like, okay, so I will go to Maastricht for a year for psychology, and I will take a gap year from my university in Dublin. And I just never went back, basically.
So then was your original plan to just stay here for 1 year and do psychology for
No,
1
it was
year?
to see what it was like. My backup plan was that I could always go back. That's
Yeah,
why I
okay.
technically took a gap year, right?
Yeah, okay.
But I've really enjoyed it, and I can see a clearer path forward in terms of a professional career. So
Which is?
being a therapist,
Yeah? Actual therapist?
yeah.
Interesting.
At least that's the direction I'm leaning towards now. There's so much stuff you can do now. And a lot of it's really interesting. But at the moment, this is still the direction that I want to go in.
Uh-huh. And then you were saying you're going to do like a internship.
I'm trying to
In
find
September?
internships for next year, Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Christmas, November, December, January.
And you're going to do that in Ireland.
I mean, I have to because it's English.
Yeah?
Like,
Oh.
I can't, there's no places here that will give me an internship that speak English with clients. You know what I mean? Especially,
I would think there's places here because we have international people living here as well.
but then
right?
in the hospital, right? Or
Oh,
in
yeah.
a clinic.
Is that like clinical psychology?
It's a
then?
clinic, right?
And
It's
that's
a
not what you
clinical
wanna do?
psychology internship, which is
Mm.
exactly what I'm looking for. And let's say you're going for therapy and you're a Dutch person, you're going to do it in Dutch, right?
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
You know? So yeah, I would have to go to Dublin. And I've got one, but I need to find another internship by the middle of May. If I don't, then I will end up doing something else here.
But then why you need to do 2 internships or
Yeah, you
okay.
can't just do one.
Why not?
It's part of the package.
Fuck if I know.
Because I'm choosing the clinical package, which includes 2 clinical courses here and then 2 period of internship. It's a credit thing.
Okay. And that's your last year or
That would be next year, yeah. Which is my last year.
Yeah, last year. And then afterwards you want to go work? Or?
Masters or clinical training. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
God damn.
But I feel like, yeah, in general, the schools, it seems it's quite different. For us, we basically don't really, like, you can, as I said, you can choose between different subjects at different years, but I'm pretty sure, let's say for like over half of high school, you haven't done Spanish, you could still take up Spanish in your 5th year and do it as your last subject.
That makes no sense to me.
Why?
As in, like, because for us, we have our lower years and our upper years. And basically, in your upper years, that's where you choose your end subjects.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to follow them. For me, it was over a span of 2 years. And in those 2 years, you already like finish up some sort of subjects that you will either still get in your final exam, or they will basically test it before your exam, so you won't have to do it during your exam anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you decide to choose like Spanish in your last year, then you've missed everything from last year. So then you wouldn't be able to actually finish the entire. Well, here you wouldn't be able to finish the.
No, I'm taking in your second last year, like in 5th year or something like this.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like then for us, if we our fourth and fifth year are up a year, so then
I mean, yeah, you would have to catch up.
yeah, I don't know.
You
Who
know,
knows?
but yeah, it's also because for us, we have in our fourth year out of 6, in our fourth year we have a transition year, and this is really chill. Like it's known as the year where you do fucking nothing.
Nice.
Basically, because you have loads of random ass classes. Like you have 2 months of cooking classes, you have 2 months of Russian classes, 2 months of whatever, right? And then also throughout that year,
Is that where they like show you all the options and then you eventually end up choosing anything, or do you already choose
not
before
even.
the
You
fourth?
just different schools will offer different things, and also in that year, you still have normal classes as well. But in that year, you will also need to do not like internships, but like work experience,
Yeah.
right? And you can go into different things. For me, I did one in the courts, like in
Like a
in the
jury
courts,
course?
like in the like a law courts.
Yeah, okay.
And I did one in a hospice, and yeah, and basically it's work experience, and everyone has to do it in the country. But you kind of see what it's like for a week or two working there, basically.
Yeah.
And this, I'm assuming, is to try and help you to see what you want to do.
We had something like that, but it was more like the how do I say it? It's like social internships where you just go out and help somewhere just to get like your socials up, basically. But you were so it was so easy to fake these or just to do them. Like a lot of people would do it at their parents' company, and then their parents will just sign that they did the hours, but they would never do the hours.
This was how this. Well, for one of them, we had to do different types. For one of them, it had to be like something like some business management thing, and I did it at a local tennis club because you just had like books there and members and stuff like this. But bro, I literally barely did anything. I spent like a couple hours in the office, like trying to figure out how the fucking radiator worked or something while I was supposed to be putting in stuff in Excel or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or like I don't know. So like for some of it, we had that as well, and a lot of people definitely did fake them.
Yeah.
But it's also a valuable opportunity to actually see what you want to do. For example, I went to the. I said I did one in the courts, right? Because at the time I was thinking maybe I'll become a lawyer. And then I did work experience in the courts, and I was able to sit in on some like trials, right?
Uh-huh.
And I remember there was one I sat in on, and it was between this taxi driver and a customer, right?
Yeah.
Or one of it, yeah, customer.
Yeah. Passenger,
yeah. we'll roll with that.
Yeah, sure.
And basically the taxi driver was saying that he dropped the guy off and then he refused to pay, and then the guy got out and he like punched him and ran away, basically, right?
Damn.
And but I was sitting there, I watched the guy give his testament, whatever, and then the guy who had punched him was like brought in cuffs, like behind like a glass wall and shit like this. And then like there would be guys behind him, like next, like sitting like with. I remember one of them had like his arm over the radiator, and he was just fucking staring at him. And then his family, the person's family. This is what got me, was we were in this, right, and the person's family was sitting at the back of the court. Well, no, actually in the front. I was at the back, kind of hiding, right?
Hiding.
And in the front was his family. And whatever happened, the guy got sentenced to some time in jail, basically.
Yeah.
And then his family got up and started like crying and screaming at him. And then he's there banging on the glass. And I was like, bro, I don't want to do this shit. Like,
that'll be enough for me for my entire life.
Then there was another guy who was like selling drugs as well. But anyway, it was an interesting experience. Obviously, I know that as a lawyer, you can be a defendant, you can be a prosecutor, you can work in like a fucking office all day, whatever. Also, the office fucking work was super duper boring.
But I'm pretty sure you also choose your kind of like
kind of law you do. Yeah,
yeah,
you can go
like,
into commercial law.
A lot of people will do like the environmental law. Yeah, exactly. Well, have you watched How I Met Your Mother?
Oh no.
No. And How I Met Your Mother.
I've watched a couple episodes.
What's his fucking face, bro? The
Barney?
No. It's
Ted?
No, you're getting close. The other one, the other guy.
The guy with black hair?
No, it's like the big guy. He's from Minnesota originally. He dates the red haired girl.
Isn't that Ted?
No, Ted is the
black
architect.
hair?
Huh?
The black hair? Is
Yeah,
Ted?
he's an architect, but his friend Marshall. Wow, bro, that took me everywhere, bro. Marshall is a lawyer, and he only does like environmental law.
Okay.
And then he has to because he's not really making money. That's the whole thing for environmental law, because he's like for the planet kind of stuff, like that kind of stuff.
Oh, he does it like non-profit?
Kind of, yeah. That's the thing, and he's not making
Bro,
money.
If you're gonna become a lawyer, half the
Exactly.
reason is for the money.
Exactly. And then his wife is like, yeah, we need to get money, and then a big company signs him to be their lawyer, and basically they're this big industry where like they ruin the planet.
Oh, they want him to protect.
Yes,
them
and
against
it's so funny, and he's like, it's his like moral like
dilemma.
Exactly, yeah. It's really funny, but he ends up actually choosing the environmental side, anyways.
Oh, so he goes against the company?
Yeah.
So,
Which
because
is,
they wanted to use, I don't know, burn some more coal to fuel our houses.
Yeah, it was something
Put
about a
in
lake.
radiators, I don't know.
Okay, now we're fucking. This is your word, right?
What?
Radiators.
Yeah.
You tried to sneak it in.
I slipped it in at the end.
Yeah. Nice. No, basically it was something about a
Is
lake.
your word relevant?
No, it's not relevant.
Okay.
Basically, they had this lake that he went to all the time growing up, and they were basically polluting the lake. So then it was for him, it was like, should I help these people solve the problem with this lake, or should I go against them, basically defending the lake that I always went to with my father, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So that was the whole thing. Oh, bro, so tired, bro. Holy shit.
I mean, yeah, this guy got back from work, as you said.
Yeah.
Like seconds before, well, minutes before we started. So
yeah, I think you can also see like during the episode, during the talk, I'm just like fucking chilling and just like yawning and just like scratching my ear the whole time.
Yeah, it was more of a chill episode, I think.
Yeah, we talked about a lot about school, which I think that would be the title of the episode. Yeah, going back to school.
We can work something around it. Every day's a school day.
Every day's a school day.
But yeah,
we become bullies.
Becoming bullies for the gone
bullied
wrong.
Became the bullies.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we'll wrap it up for this episode. Again, no points are given.
No? What was your word?
Actually, I used my word all the way in the beginning once, and it was a perfect. Also, the word was perfect, but I just couldn't flip it in there for some reason. Refresh. Remember all the way in the beginning of the episode where I said I wanted to refresh the page of the AI of the ChatGPT.
Bro. Okay.
And actually, I think I slid it in actually twice in like one sentence. It was like, no, I'm not gonna count this.
It could have been like refresh your memory.
That's what I was thinking about as well. Yeah, but it just didn't flow naturally. So I was like, oh no, and I'm also super tired, so I was not really.
For me, I just got carried away in the topic we were talking about.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
And then I looked at the time, but then also because I nearly laughed when I got the word because. One time,
basically, it's radiance kind of thing, right?
Well,
yeah.
When I had radiance afterwards, I was like to him, I was like, bro.
The end of the episode, we mentioned it actually.
We said the radiator.
Yeah. It's like, oh, got this radiator over here. Yeah.
Oh right, yeah.
Because we were talking about the heating on top.
Yeah.
So that'll do it for this episode. It's still 1-1. It's been 2 episodes in a row where I successfully.
It's a poor showing.
Where I successfully challenge Marco's word. Yeah. So do we have something for them to leave in the comments? How was your experience in high school? What the fuck? I don't care.
No, it's true because we've talked about the Irish school system. We've talked about the Dutch school system a little bit. Probably enough to send all of you to sleep. But if you're still awake, let us know if your country's any different, or if you're from the same country, what your experience was like. Anything you liked, didn't like about school,
or just your experience at school.
Yeah, or what you would change. You know. Let's think about grand schemes for the future.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so subscribe to YouTube. Ring the bell to get notified. Like every video. Then go to Spotify. Like the podcast on Spotify. Watch an entire episode. Rate it 5 stars out of 5. Then go to Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. Like all the shorts. Go to TikTok. I don't have more fingers.
You're not asking much here, are you?
I don't have much. I don't have many fingers anymore. Go to TikTok, follow, and leave likes on all the shorts as well, I guess. And that's it.
Yeah.
Want to add something to that?
No, I mean,
Positive note for the week.
Again, feedback, very welcome as always on whatever. Things we can work on, things we might do well, things we might not do so well. But yeah, let us know.
And then for everyone who's doing exam week, good luck, and know that this exam will not determine your life.
True.
Or will it now? Okay.
True, yeah.
See you guys. Bye bye.